Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, thanks for coming back. As always, appreciate you listening. Please like, subscribe, comment, share wherever you listen to us. If you've switched off of Google Podcasts, let us know where you're listening now. Are you on Odyssey? Are you on Google Podcasts? Did you switch to Apple Music? Where did you go? Where are you now listening to podcasts? I want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty, tacmd.com, tacmd.com. Adam is still closing deals in this environment. Unknown interest rates. Fed just said they're going to lower rates. Don't know when, though. But you need a trusted person on your side to kind of navigate you through all of the uncertainty with the real estate market right now. The house sold next door to me for crazy money. Every time that happens, the wife and I start talking, should we move? But then it always comes back to, well, I can't move anywhere. So I can't afford to move. Not that I would, but when someone sells a house next to you for that kind of money, you're just like, oh my God. Makes you start thinking. You start seeing dollar signs that aren't yours, right? So call Adam Chubbuck, tacmd.com with Douglas Realty. He can also help you get financed too if your financing falls through or your buyer's financing falls through. It's always nice to work with a real estate agent who has connections with people that can actually get stuff done. So go over to tacmd.com. All right, we are going to talk about the new political marriage that is Donald Trump and RFK Jr. But we're also trying a new bourbon tonight, courtesy of Penelope Bourbon. This is their, I'm trying to think of a nice way to put this. This is their entry-level bottle.
You know, you would say a price point.
Yeah, this is their $40 price point. Yeah. So this is closer to our norm for price. It is an 80 proof, so this is going to be interesting for us because when we tried the barrel strength, that was what, 108?
That was 116.
116, and it didn't drink like that.
No.
So if they can do that with 118, I mean, is drinking this one at 80 going to drink like water? Or are they going to kind of have it drink like an 80, an 85, maybe throw some more flavor in it, maybe? I don't know. Like, that's what I'm, like when I drink these low proofers now, because I do tend to like it with just some flavor, some lasting effects on the tongue. That's what I'm going to be looking for with this. If it's just an 80 that kind of like disappears right away, for $40, is that really what you're going to spend $40 on? Because there's plenty in that lower range, in the $20, $25 range, that do that.
Yeah.
So is there really a need to spend double the amount to get the same effect?
Right.
So I'm going to be looking for, I want it to be very flavorful. Now, I will say this. I smelled it right out the gate. Now, I didn't let it breathe.
Well, I'm not detecting any musty taint.
It smells quite nice. I'm not going to lie. Like, I don't get that harsh alcohol smell. I get a very nice, just pleasant nose. As I don't know why I did that directly into the microphone. Like that, I know we don't do video, but I didn't mean to. Like,
bumping lines of bourbon,
right? Maybe Coke would enhance the flavor. I don't know. Now the other issue is I kind of brushed my teeth before we started doing this, so like I got a feeling the first taste is gonna taste like horrible mint and bourbon mix.
Oh, yeah. You ever like brush your teeth and then drink cold water?
Yeah,
it's like oh my God.
Yeah. It's like the worst pain ever.
I'm like, why does this hurt so bad?
Like my gums.
Yeah.
Right? And I got good gums. Like I brush my gums. Like I brush them, they don't bleed. Like none of that stuff. I take care of my gums. But no, shoot, if I do like minty toothpaste and ice water. Like I almost want to stab my face.
Yeah.
Because that's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Or that would feel better.
Stabbing your face.
Yeah.
It wouldn't linger as long.
No.
It would bleed a lot, but then you get blood, so...
I will say, you wouldn't think that certain areas bleed as much as they do. But like, earlobes? Mm-hmm. I don't know why.
Any soft tissue, like, especially facial, head, mouth, it's a rich blood supply, so it just bleeds a lot.
I suppose, but I mean, like, I had a little ear pimple. I don't know why. Like, I kind of, for some reason, my 16-year-old self decided to pop back up. Had an ear pimple on the lobe. And I was surprised at how the enormous amount of liquid that came out of this. And it's like an earlobe. There's nothing going on here. Like, what are we doing?
Right.
Like, are there even veins going to that to push blood out? I mean, I figure sure a little bit of pus, but this is just like I was about to drip on my shirt. Like, I'm about to have a 2-shirt day within the first 15 minutes. Like, I can't have this. Now, if it's a dark shirt, I'd just let it go. But if it's a white shirt, you can't really, because then it's like you get the 30,000 people. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine. It's my earlobe. I don't know.
You're bleeding.
Yeah, I didn't get shot.
Right. Put the patch over your ear.
I should go get a tampon or a maxi pad and put it in my ear like some assholes. Good segue into the Donald Trump RFK marriage that seems to be. It was interesting. So I listened to Jimmy Dore's podcast about this. And essentially what he did was he played the speech RFK gave. He played the introduction and the speech RFK gave at Trump's rally. And the one thing he said before he played it was, listen to the reaction that Republicans are giving RFK. And he was like, RFK's an old school liberal. Mm-hmm. Like, anti-establishment, anti-war, freedom of speech. Mm-hmm. Those are his 3 big things. Anti-government, anti-establishment, freedom of speech.
Yep. And he had that whole, what was it, the Hudson River Coalition to clean up the environment?
Yeah. People that aren't of age don't realize the environment. Like, he was an environmental lawyer.
Yeah.
And he took on some big ass companies and got some stuff cleaned up. Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. You gonna win them all? No. Mm-hmm. But at least he went into the arena. And like that, he's the liberal that JFK was, and he was the liberal that RFK was. Mm-hmm. And oh, by the way, they just happened to kill both of them.
Yeah.
And the weirdest thing is, you would think the whole Kennedy name, oh, they're all like that. No, they're not. There's a whole section of that family that came out against RFK Jr.
Yeah.
Like, hard. Mm-hmm. Like, I think it was his sister, his cousins. Like, you would think he was not born into that family. And I don't know how you get the 2 extremes from one family.
Right.
Well, I mean, I do. It's called money. But the weird thing is, and Jimmy was pointing this out, when you listen to the reaction of people that are at a Donald Trump rally, the Republican nominee for president, and they're cheering on an old school liberal ideas, taking on all the government agencies.
Yep.
He talked about how the government agencies were bought and paid for by the big corporations. So it's anti-corporate right there, number 1. So we got Republicans cheering that. Cheering anti-corruption, cheering free speech. You would think you were at a Democrat rally.
And 20 years ago, you would have been.
Right. So, I mean, it kind of blows my mind right now that you probably have the more liberal Democrat person that was running for president in RFK. And technically he's still running, but he's taking his name off the ballot in battleground states.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to influence it one way or the other. Well, I mean, I guess he does because he's campaigning for Trump. But, but you have probably the most liberal guy endorsing the Republican candidate.
Yeah. Well, it's because the Democrats, they're not liberal anymore. They're progressives. They don't use the term liberal. They use the term progressives. And, if you look back into history, the founding fathers were all liberals. They're pretty radical liberals for their time, too. So when you think about the shift that the Democrat Party has made, they don't call themselves liberals. They call themselves progressives. And progressive means there's no limit to progressivism. It just goes and goes and goes. And nothing can be as progressive as, so once they get to a place, they seek out some other injustice, some other slight, something else where they need to be, and really it just comes down to power. They just want power. They don't particularly care about whether that power is harnessed or whether that they want limitless power to push whatever the latest thing is, and to continue going progressive just gets more and more people. It just kind of expands their base more and more and more to the extremes. So, if you think about it, like gay marriage was the issue, and that issue's been solved. You know what I mean? Like that's the Supreme Court the evil Supreme Court that they hate so much went and decided on it and said, no, marry who you marry. And well, then they have to shift the goalposts more to keep staying progressive, to keep fighting for something. And sometimes it seems like they make up things to fight for. It's like when you're looking for racism, everything's racist. Well, so they're just always looking for something to be offended over, to be slighted by, to then get that next group of. It's almost like you ever make phyllo dough, where you're constantly folding it and folding it and folding it. They're just constantly folding it over and folding it over, more and more layers, and it's really just the same people or the next little bunch that they kind of grab in. So, but they use these terms like justice. Well, you're fighting for justice. I mean,
you can't be against justice,
right?
They do that with a lot of things.
Yeah.
It's justice or fighting for rights.
Yeah, and they made the deft little switch from equality, which everyone's for, to equity. Well, how could you be against equity if you're for equality? Well, the two things are completely different. But it's equal opportunity versus outcome. Everyone deserves the same opportunity, but how much work you put into it determines the outcome. So they just make this little switches to equity, justice, all these terms that are kind of fuzzy, but it keeps that progressive momentum moving to keep getting more and more people involved in supporting them, even though they're not looking out for the interests of anyone but themselves. I have really intelligent friends who happen to sway that way on that side of the aisle, and you'd be amazed at how they're talking about. These are people who are, my parents' generation. They would have been hippies back in the day, and they're talking about, how they're for censorship. I mean, it's insane. My brain can't wrap around it. Like, weren't you guys like the flower protesting the wars and protesting all this stuff, and now you want censorship?
Right. Yeah. And I think people confuse being pro free speech for being pro whatever is said with free speech. Mm-hmm. Just because I want everyone to be able to say what they want to say doesn't mean I agree with what they say.
Correct.
But I want it to be out in the open.
Yeah.
Expose yourself for who you are.
I want to know who my assholes are.
Correct.
Because
the more it's put out there, I keep clearing my throat. The more it's put out there, the more opportunity you have to kind of like go against that if you don't like it, right? So, for example, one of the things like the neo-Nazis used to do, they would go into like Appalachia where a lot of the population was poor, didn't have jobs, but what they would do is they would go, not go into schools, because I don't want to say it that way, but they would look for the troubled kids. Mm-hmm. Bad home life, no friends. And what they would do is they would send like an older, someone a little bit older. So let's say the kid was 16. They would send like a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old, someone around their age. And they would befriend them. Because at the end of the day, people just want to belong.
Yeah.
Well, without open and free speech, you don't have anything combating what that 19-year-old is telling that 16-year-old. They're out just partying, having a good time. And in order to keep doing that and stay and remain fitting in, they start to believe whatever they're believing. Mm-hmm. Well, if I like drinking beer and I like loud music and I like the girls that are around, I want to keep doing that. I'll believe X, Y, and Z that they believe just so I can stick around.
Yeah.
And it's not just with like neo-Nazis. They do it.
Every gang does it.
Correct. Like they make someone feel wanted. Mm-hmm. And that's how they grow numbers.
Yeah.
And the only way out of that is by counter information. Now, for example, and I wish I'm going to butcher the guy's name. His first name is Daryl. I think it's Daryl Davis. Black guy. And a long time ago, he wanted to understand people that joined the Ku Klux Klan. And he'd go to meetings and they would just let him in. Like, it wasn't like they were going after him. But he would talk to them one-on-one. And after a while, they started questioning, well, why do I hate black people when I like Daryl?
Right.
It was counter-information, right? It was counter to what their buddies were teaching them. And I think in the last 30 years, I think he's not turned, but over 200 members of the KKK have left the KKK because of him. Mm-hmm. That's how you counter bad ideas with good ideas.
Yeah.
You don't counter bad ideas with censorship.
And I think the purveyors of bad ideas really want censorship.
Of course.
Because then there's nothing to counter their bad ideas.
Right. You now go into the echo chamber where there's no counter argument. All they hear is your argument. Like, I used to have this boss where we would go and we would tell him, hey, this is a better way to do something, or hey, this isn't a good idea. But someone else would get in his ear second, and he would completely reverse course. Like, he'd be in total agreement with us when we left the meeting. And then 3 hours later, because he met with the other side, he would then change his mind because they were the last ones in his ear. Mm-hmm. Well, think about that on a larger scale, not a work scale, right? Now you're talking about this on a larger, neo-Nazi terrorists, even whatever it is on the Antifa side. Like, even with the Antifa kids, a lot of these kids are just lost. Mm-hmm. And they just want to belong. And, hey, I like these people. Well, I'm going to believe what they believe so I can stay in the group. Mm-hmm. I'm going to do what they do so I can stay in the group, so I can belong, so I can have my people. Because before, I didn't have anybody. Now, I went to school, I was the lone person, I was the outcast, people made fun of me. And here, they accept me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I might have to dress a little different. I didn't dress like this before. I didn't have the piercings in my nose and the ears and
the purple hair.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that shit. But I want to fit in, so I'm going to do some of it, and I'm going to pretend I like it. Mm-hmm. And I'm probably going to convince myself that I like it.
Yeah.
This is now me. And that it's that's the way these people do it. That's how they get people to join. That's how people get people to go along with bad ideas. Mm-hmm. They don't like the ideas originally. They just want to belong.
Yeah.
And it's a very effective way to get. I mean, it's how they do it in the Middle East. Groups from like ISIS and the Mujahideen and the Taliban. Well, I mean, the Taliban does it a little bit more coercively, yeah. But originally, that's how they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But once you become a big enough group, then you can do it more by coercion. Well, the thing around free speech is you want to be able to counteract these bad messages before it gets to the point where the behemoth is so big. Now it's all by coercion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people argue about the two political sides of things. I guess I do wish there were more, but one benefit of having two strong political sides is that they pull on each other equally. Mm-hmm. One doesn't overwhelm the other one. It kind of keeps an equilibrium there.
Yeah.
Whereas if you had kind of like two on one side and one on the other, and the one was much bigger, it could kind of like go after one and destroy it, and then go after the other one and destroy it, and now you've got the juggernaut.
And then you've got so when you look at some of these European parliaments where they have all these various parties, and they'll have like coalitions that will get together. So I think, what's his name? That clown in Canada, Trudeau. He's never. First of all, they don't vote on the prime minister. The public doesn't vote on the prime minister. It all happens in Parliament,
right?
And they're appointed. But he doesn't have the majority. He has what they call the plurality. So he's got this coalition of the liberal, of the whatever they call it, I guess is the Liberal Party. And they have some other groups in there, and that's how he's in power. He wouldn't have survived an election, like we have here. He wouldn't be in power. But as long as he keeps that coalition together, they'll stay in power. And you're right; they'll start to cannibalize one another. Or they might go and say, "Okay, we're going to join with you on this one issue, just because we hate those guys over there. So now we're going to all coalesce and work together and collude to bring this guy in." When really the biggest group of people they might not have 50%, but they all have and it's the biggest of the 6 parties or whatever it is kind of, now they're kind of screwed over because all these little ones got together on 1 or 2 issues, and put some clown in power that the majority of the people don't really want.
Yeah. I mean, and that's how someone, in one of those, what do they call them? What does that Canadian system go? It's the same thing as Britain. It's not a constitutional or something. I don't know. Fuck them.
They have no constitution, which is another problem. And that's something else that the progressives like to get rid of, because a constitution, the Bill of Rights sets kind of boundaries. And as long as you abide by this document, you're fine. Once you kind of go outside, you're out of bounds, you can't do it. Those countries don't have it. That's why in the UK, they're locking people up for Facebook posts. Stab someone, you get they call it a caution. It's like a warning, but it's, it's like I don't really know what but you can be written a caution for criminal activity, but Facebook posts, that's what they're going after. They're putting people in jail for that because there's no guidelines. There's no out of bounds,
Well, in France, they just arrested Pavel Durov. So for those that don't know, Pavel Durov is the CEO of Telegram, one of the last free speech they call it a social media platform, but it's a messaging platform.
Yeah.
So they just arrested him 2 days ago in France, basically for not allowing a government backdoor into a system.
Yeah.
That's a whole other topic, but going back to, so what do we think the ramifications are of Robert Kennedy Jr. going on stage with Donald Trump? Is it, I mean, there's only really 2 ways it can go. Either people who are going to vote for RFK are now just going to vote for Kamala Harris, or are they going to coalesce because they liked RFK and RFK Jr. came out and said, Trump's going to do what I think he's going to do, or things that I want to do. Mm-hmm. He's going to do them. So do they now vote for Trump, even if a lot of those people that were going to vote for RFK Jr. really hate Trump?
Yeah.
I mean, he's that polarizing of a figure.
I think that you're going to have some people, I think you're going to have an effect where you're going to have some of those undecideds that are out there. Like, oh, RFK is going for him. Well, I kind of like what he says, so I'm going to go with it. I don't think an endorsement, I'm kind of stealing this from Dave Smith, and it makes a lot of sense. Just because someone says, you like me, I'm not doing it anymore, go to this guy, right? So, like, all of our listeners, if tomorrow we decide to stop doing this podcast and we said, hey, we're not going to do it anymore, but my buddy has this podcast called Shat Happens, which actually he does, it exists. Go listen to him. He's kind of just like us. Mm. How many people are going to go and just start listening to that podcast right off the break? Some might, because they, for whatever reason, value my opinion. No one who lives with me apparently does. But, some people might. But I think the majority of them are just going to, once we stop, they might go give that podcast a shot, but they might not. So you're going to have that sort of thing play out. You're going to have some people, if it's going to put enough to drive the nail into Kamala's coffin, I don't think that's going to happen. She's got the entire machine of the corporate media behind her. 60 days ago, she was a liability, and now all of a sudden she's the freaking most wonderful thing that's ever happened to the world. So it's funny how they just turn on a dime like that.
That's a wild thing that happened.
Yeah,
it's almost like,
I don't know. I think it's completely predictable and 100% disappointing.
It is. It's just, but it's a matter of how many times have we seen this playbook? How many times have we said, the sky is red, and you look up and the sky is blue, but no, it's not. The sky's red.
Don't believe your own eyes.
Correct.
Believe what we're telling you.
Right.
We know better than you. Who still gets their information from these people?
But there's alternative media on the left, just like there is on the right, though.
Right.
They're not just getting it from MSNBC and CNN. The viewing numbers aren't there to make them that influential. They're not. You're talking about each show gets under 1 million viewers.
Yeah.
Oh, and a lot under,
the best
600,000.
The best thing Fox News ever did for Tucker Carlson was fire him.
Well, that too. But Fox News, of the three, Fox News got the most viewers, and they still do. But you can't tell me that the 1 million people that watch Fox News and the 1 million combined that watch CNN and MSNBC, that's 2 million people in a country of 350 million.
Yeah.
Of which you've got about 150 million eligible voters. Mm-hmm. So of 150 million eligible voters, now think about this. Joe Biden got 81 million votes. Trump got 76 million? Mm-hmm. That's 150 million, roughly. So you're telling me that the same 2 million people that watch all three of those networks are deciding elections?
Yeah.
No, fuck no. There's another 48 million votes somewhere, getting their news from sources somewhere. Now, is it the New York Times and the Washington Post? Sure, there's some of that too. But you've got the Young Turks. You got people like Jimmy Dore. You got people like Hassan, that dumbass, the $1 million socialist. Fucking figure that one out. Yeah. And that you've got 1 million of these. There's a bunch of little operations just like this one. Some much bigger.
Yeah.
Some of them, Tim Pool's organization gets more views than CNN.
Yeah.
Look, Joe Rogan gets 11 million listens per show.
Yeah.
Now it's the same 11 million people. But that same 11 million people is more than the 1 million to 2 million people that Fox, CNN, and MSNBC get. So I'm not going to blame it on legacy media.
Yeah.
I'm going to blame it on people just being gullible as fuck and believing whatever their supposed person tells them. And there's not enough shows like this one that say, hey, we're not going to tell you what to think.
Yeah.
But here's some information that's true. Even though we're completely not a factual podcast and everything said here is an opinion and not based on any of our employers whatsoever. But we've never told people how to think. We present information.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's wrong. A lot of times it's wrong. But there are some other outlets out there that do try and tell people how to think. They tell them they're shitty if they don't think like them.
Right.
If anyone's ever seen that Hassan piece of shit, who I think was Cenk Uyghur's nephew. So Cenk Uyghur started the Young Turks. Well, this is his nephew who went way to the fucking... I don't even know if it's left anymore, but he went off the reservation. Pardon my non-politically correct term. Comedy show. Remember that. But he tells people that they're fucking shitty if they don't believe the things that he believes.
Yeah.
And the shit that he believes is that men can get pregnant.
But that's also the same message that the corporate media is pushing out too.
Sure.
You're a piece of shit if you don't get the vax. Mm-hmm. You're a piece of shit if you don't support, if you don't kneel for Black Lives Matter. You're a piece of shit if you don't agree on all of these talking points. You're a piece of shit. That's the same thing they were telling. Just listen to that douchebag Chris Cuomo.
Right.
And Don Lemon and all the, they're doing the same thing that guy, whatever, the $1 million socialist douchebag does. Mm-hmm. Like, they're doing the same thing. So they're taking their direction. It's either being influenced by or being issued by someone, somewhere, something, somewhere. So the corporate media is easy because you just look who their advertisers are. Novartis doesn't advertise their latest drug for restless leg syndrome or whatever the fuck nonsense they're doing because they want to sell restless leg syndrome drugs to boomers watching freaking, AC 360. They do it so that they've bought that show and that network. They're going to sell their drugs regardless. Like, you go to the doctor, you're like, man, I have this. I saw on CNN that I could get this drug. The doctor's like, man, I've never heard of that before. Thank God you're watching. No, that's not how any of this shit works. They're just buying the show, so they own the show. If you notice, Tucker got fired right after he went after Big Pharma. Mm-hmm. One of the many times where he went after him pretty good, and the very next week he was gone. So that's why they buy that shit. But they're definitely getting their talking points because you can see it. And then when you have the independent ones that are doing the same exact thing, maybe not in the same words, not as bad as the chop cuts they do or whatever, those mashups they do where they're all saying, sharp as a tack, safe and effective, whatever nonsense that's drivel that's being fed to them by whoever, they're still in the same vein. They're still along the same line.
Speaking of which, if you haven't gotten your vaccination yet for the winter, take our advice and go get it tomorrow. So we too can be brought to you by Pfizer.
And Pfizer, if you're listening, yeah. I really, we'll take the sponsorship money. And
did you hear that segue?
Yeah, it's great.
That could be real.
Yeah,
if Pfizer pays up.
Yeah.
I'm not. Look, we've said this for 3 years.
Balls in your court, Pfizer.
If Pfizer comes over and drops a bucket of cash over here, I will sing a different tune.
Yeah.
I mean, shit. I could be real persuasive for safe and effective. You know what I'm saying? Like, not that I'm saying we're good at delivering the ads, but, some of our segues are pretty damn good.
Yeah.
When they're on point. Some of them pretty bad. But, I got no problem saying safe and effective 55 times. And I mean, you want me to tell you someone got horse dewormer? I'll do that shit. CDC
horse
did
paste.
It. Yeah.
Joe Rogan with his yellow skin. Horse paste. You can't afford people medicine.
No. It's not like he's got money to afford health care. All the shows, and you can tell who they are. You can tell, but especially those legacy media ones, they're beholden to it because without it, those networks cost a shit ton of money.
Oh yeah,
to keep running.
Yeah,
because not only do you have the 2 people on the stage, but you got 40 people running one show.
Oh yeah.
And it not only has to carry that show, it's got to carry the 3 others that don't pull ratings yet.
Right.
It's got to. It's like, TGIF back in the day had to carry, daytime TV or mid morning TV, during the week, right? Because no one was watching TV between like 9 and noon.
No.
Right. And then so what they did with Oprah had to carry the network. Mm-hmm. That's why they syndicated it.
Yeah.
And then Dr. Phil came along. Why do you think they created 25 different Oprah shows?
Right.
You had Oprah, Wendy Williams, Dr. Phil, Ellen,
Mm-hmm.
Now you got Kelly Clarkson. Drew Barrymore's got a show.
Yeah.
And of course you got the Five Talking Hens. You got The View.
Oh my God.
And you had one called The Talk and some other shit.
Yeah.
Because people buy into it. They love that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get the liberal moms.
Yeah.
They love those shows. The one, not the working moms. This is not the working liberal moms, but the stay-at-home liberal moms.
Right.
Although I want to say that kind of backfired because I feel like a lot of the ladies that stay home are probably more conservative than they are liberal. But what do I know? I'm not in that world, But it is strange though that you never really heard Trump talk about the corporate. I mean, I don't want to say never. He did talk about some corporate corruption here and there.
Yeah.
With the government. Drain the swamp, all this bullshit. But when he was there, the problem is when he was there the first time, he didn't do shit about it.
No, and he also just brought the same swamp creatures into his cabinet. I mean, he had, what was it, his UN ambassador, or whatever they call that person, was Michael Bolton.
John Bolton.
Yeah, Michael Bolton.
Michael Bolton would have been better.
Yeah. John Bolton, like the biggest neocon war hawk there is. Nikki Haley was there before him, another neocon war hawk. They brought all these, Mike Pompeo, who is plotting to kill. What's his name? The dude Julian Assange.
Right.
Wanted to kill the guy. Like you're an unelected government bureaucrat, like planning a murder of a like for exposing your dirty secrets. And that's the type of thing that that troubles me. But he had all these same people in there. Now he did have some picks. Who was it? Ben Carson, who they all loved universally until he started talking about conservative type viewpoints, and then all of a sudden he was an idiot and a moron. And he screwed up brain surgeries, and they made fun of him on SNL. They hated it. Donald Trump himself. They freaking loved that guy,
right?
Until he started going against what the establishment liked, and then all of a sudden he's racist, he's this, he's that. So, I can't trust anything they say anyway, at all.
So where does Bobby Kennedy fit into this though? Other than an endorsement, is he anything more than just another person endorsing Trump?
So I think the bigger crime with Bobby Kennedy is the fact that he was trying to get on the Democrat ticket to primary Joe Biden. No one allowed him to do it. So then he was never allowed to debate, nothing. Then Biden all of a sudden can't campaign anymore, so he drops out, leaving Kamala. And they just go ahead and make her the nominee. Not one single person voted for Kamala Harris, not one. Now, there were Democrats who wanted Bobby Kennedy to do it. So, shouldn't then Bobby Kennedy become the next, not the, whatever Kamala was, the running mate?
No. It went exactly like the powers that be wanted.
Exactly. Well, we know that.
They were able to run a sitting president unopposed because that's not uncommon.
Yeah.
And then once he got the nomination, then they could do the fuckery that they did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think...
But he never got the nomination. Right, because...
technically he won the votes.
Yeah.
But he didn't get to the convention.
Yeah.
I think they were worried if Bobby ran against them, Bobby might win.
Yeah.
And you can't have that because Bobby was against the corporate interests that fund the DNC. It's exactly... I don't want to say exactly, but the premise behind it is exactly what happened to Bernie. Except Bernie fell in line.
Yeah.
Bernie is not Bernie from 2016.
The 2016 Bernie, R.I.P.
Yeah.
I liked.
But the funny thing is, though, the people that probably supported Bernie probably supported RFK Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He was a we've said this word before, populist.
Populist is a bad word to them. It's the same as nationalist.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Because God forbid the government of the people, for the people, by the people, do anything for the fucking people that it governs. God forbid.
Yeah.
Do only for ourselves, not for the people. Mm-hmm. Got to line more of my pocket rather than help the people I've been selected to govern.
Right.
It's very similar to, and we've said this before, if you don't have people in power that truly believe it's their purpose in life to take care of the people that they govern, you get into corruption.
Yeah.
And I've equated this many times. Think of the mafia in old school New York. The people kept their mouths shut because the mafia took care of the neighborhood. Nobody went hungry in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because the mafia made sure, hey, you got laid off, we'll get you a union job. Mm-hmm. Because we control the unions.
Yeah.
It was like, we have this power, we'll make sure we use one of these slots for you. Even though we're getting kickbacks upon kickbacks. Like, I'm still going to line my pockets, but I'm going to make sure you have a job.
Yeah.
And by doing that, you shut up. You made sure 10 families in the neighborhood shut the fuck up because you helped that person or they were friends with that person. Mm-hmm. And that person didn't shut up about how good you were to them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you got to make everybody rich, but some point along the way, you stop dropping even breadcrumbs for people.
Right.
It's like, if you made sure they had a full belly, no one's going to bitch. But you didn't. Mm-hmm. You fucked up, and now you got snitches.
Yeah.
And now you got people turning state's evidence against you. Mm-hmm. And especially, now in the day of the internet, all the stuff that they thought that was going to be private is not private anymore.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And that's why they really got pissed at Julian Assange. That was his crime. His crime was exposing what they did. The crime wasn't what they did.
Right.
It wasn't the horrendous things they actually did.
Mm-hmm.
It was that he exposed it. Mm-hmm. He shone the spotlight. What a douchebag he is.
Yeah.
Like they made it seem like he was the one that committed the crime. Now, did he commit a crime? I don't know. But finding documents online that exposes corruption, in my opinion, is not as big of a crime as the corruption.
Right.
They make that make sense.
Yeah.
But that's why and now, of course, he's out because of some finagling.
Yeah.
But those neocons wanted him dead. Mm-hmm. And you can't make some of this shit up. Like, they were little petulant children that said, well, you exposed what I was doing, so now I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Not, hey, maybe I shouldn't do this shady shit anymore. Well, and here's the thing. People don't look for your shady shit if you're taking care of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're not. They're taking the money that should be used, and they're so rather than getting the family the union job so they can live, they've outsourced the union job overseas. The prices of all this stuff that used to be made here, none of it's come down. They love to say, oh, well, you know how much a pair of jeans would cost if it was made in the United States? The same exact price that they cost now. It's just your profits wouldn't be as big. So they outsource the union job, and then what's left of the money that these people have, they take it to shore up the Ukrainian pension system and buy more bombs to drop on people. So no wonder people are pissed off. Like, you're doing nothing for anyone. And but so that's one of the reasons why I think they have to resort to all this identity stuff, because they know that people aren't, is like, oh, well, you're oppressed just like I am. We're all oppressed together. Explain to me how Michelle Obama's oppressed. I just, if someone could help me out with that, with the house, the $8 million mansion in D.C., the one in Nantucket, the one in Colorado, where the hell they have their ski house. I don't know. I don't see the oppression there.
Well, it's like, well, they started their life oppressed.
Okay.
And they made it out. But they're not the norm.
Right.
Right? Like, they do that with, like, LeBron James. LeBron James came from a single-parent household.
So did Kamala Harris now, too.
Well, LeBron James grew up in a bad city in Akron. For how long?
Yeah.
My man went to private school since he was like 13. Mm-hmm. So maybe the first 12 years of his life weren't that great. But from 13 years old on, he was pretty fucking set.
Yeah.
Because they've been kicking money to him since he was 13. Mm-hmm. Giving his mom jobs since he was 13. Giving his mom a house since he was 13.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. Not everyone's got a great life. But guess what? You ain't oppressed. There's some kids in Appalachia right now that are fucking oppressed.
Yeah.
But they're also white. And if you don't think that's by the government either, well, then you're fucking stupid, because that's where all the fucking drugs go. Mm-hmm. That's where all the drugs are allowed to go.
Yeah.
Because a few thousand people in Appalachia being hooked on opioids and fentanyl so they can get their kickbacks at all levels is nothing to them.
Yeah.
That's like when people say, oh, well, when you talk about COVID, oh, do you really think they would release a virus on purpose with all that death that happened? Okay, one, if you believe the death numbers came from that virus alone, yes.
Yeah, 100%. 100% they would.
I don't think they give two fucks about the million or so people that died.
No.
That's collateral fucking damage. Mm-hmm. Like you, people in this country, they believe that they're better in these people's eyes than peasants in Ukraine, than peasants in Russia, than peasants in any other country that has war going on. They're going to treat them the same as they treat you, which is like fucking shit.
Yeah.
You're nothing to them. Mm-hmm. Nothing. If you die, it affects them zero.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they could sacrifice a couple million people. And guess what? Yes, there are people out there like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, there are.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not me being cynical. There's always been people like that.
Right. Right. It's nothing new.
No. They just put a dignified face on killing.
Yeah. And, like, you know, why do you think... Do they give two shits if they send a bunch of poor black kids, poor Spanish kids, poor white kids to go get their guts blown out in some foreign bullshit war somewhere? They don't care. Look at Vietnam. They don't give a fuck about those kids getting blown up over there.
No. As long as Raytheon stock price goes up.
Yeah. And now they do care because they've realized, oh, we can kind of tamp down the anti-war sentiment by all this fake patriotism bullshit. You know, and, you know, look, I'm not saying not to honor our veterans, but, you know, we sent them over there to get them blown up, and now we're going to do some sappy freaking TV commercial for them, or we're going to do some ceremony that we don't give two shits about for these kids. I'm sure their parents would rather have them alive. You know,
100 out of 100 would.
Yeah.
No one's like, oh, you know, I'm really glad. I'm kind of glad Johnny bit it.
Right.
He's kind of a dick.
Getting blown up was the best thing he ever did for us.
Right. I doubt. Well, I shouldn't say 100 out of 100. I'm sure there's like, I'll say 2 of them. So 98 out of 100. You know, would never say that. Yeah. But 2.
Yeah, there's some weird assholes out there.
I didn't like Johnny before he left, so I'm glad I'm getting that pension.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, he sucks.
But they, you know, that's the thing. What they do. So, and now if you're against the whatever war they're starting, you're against the kids that are going to fight it,
right?
And that's where they screwed up in Vietnam, and they rectified that. So, if you don't support the war in Iraq, what do you mean you don't support our troops? I support the troops. Right? I support the troops. I love the troops. I support them so much. I don't want them getting blown up.
Right.
I mean,
but they're now trying to blame the Afghanistan withdrawal on Trump. Well, Trump gave them the exact date, and he only planned on having 2,500 troops in there when they told him that 4,000 were needed.
Yeah.
So it's Trump's fault. We all we did was execute Trump's plan. Okay, you're the fucking assholes that were in charge. You didn't have to execute that plan.
Right. We've just spent the last year saying how everything this man does is wrong and he's a moron. But this one thing was pretty good that he came up with, and we're going to do that.
Right.
We have to do that.
We just followed through.
He put the pieces in motion.
Well,
you know,
and there's also, and this is, I will knock Trump on this 100%. He did give corporations tax discounts, and he raised the effective tax rate on middle America.
Oh yeah,
and anyone who did their taxes this past year, guaranteed they either got a smaller return or they ended up owing the federal government.
Oh, I wrote a check. And
Right. So, but here's the thing, though. That was not Biden's tax plan.
Yeah.
That was just Trump's tax plan coming into effect for last year. Mm-hmm. But you had 4 years in office to stop it.
Yeah.
No one said you couldn't rewrite it.
Yeah.
You had 4 years. You knew this was coming, and you let it hit. So, yes, I still put the blame on you.
Yeah.
You can't keep blaming the dude from 4 years ago for something that happened 3 years into your term.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to hit. It's like Democrats, like they don't believe in tax breaks for corporations. Of course they do. If they have tax breaks for corporations, stock price goes up, and Democrats' pockets swell just as much as Republicans do.
Right.
Yeah. Don't let them fool you to think that they aren't about the corporations.
Yeah. Money's not like viruses. Money's not woke. Viruses are.
I mean, so now is Bobby going to make Trump? Is he going to make him less for the corporations? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, at least Bobby's got a track record of fighting corporations doing shit things. Mm-hmm. But Trump doesn't.
Yeah.
Now some people say, well, he negotiated NAFTA, and some others are okay, and at least that's in his favor.
Yeah.
And the Democrats don't have.
But no one's going to talk about that.
No
one's going to talk about that. They're going to talk about what a shitty person Trump is.
Well, they're not talking about what a shitty person RFK was.
Yeah.
Oh, RFK divorced his wife, had 40 affairs. And he wrote them down in a diary. How dare he? Now they believe in diaries, right? When the diary didn't go their way, didn't believe it didn't exist. It was fake news.
Yeah.
The FBI doesn't have that. We have it.
Yeah.
It's real. It's fake. It's real.
Well, I always think it's funny how like the people who were fired up about that, like that Bobby Kennedy had 40 side pieces, are actually voting for an actual side piece.
Right? Yeah. She just happened to marry the guy that cheated with her.
Right. And
they showed a picture of him and his ex-wife. Everything's fine now.
Yeah.
I'm even campaigning for her. That's how much I love her, even though she wrecked my home.
Like, but it's like
what?
You who pretend to be so offended by, oh my God, he had affairs. She's an affair. Like, that, like, okay. You know what?
They got no leg to stand on. I'm sorry. Ever since Bill Clinton, you can't claim the wholesomeness. Mm-mm. He got the BJ in the White House.
Right.
In the Oval Office.
Yeah. And and here's the thing. I don't really give a shit what they do. As long as they're not, like, doing crazy shit, or, stuff.
Do all the crazy shit you want.
With consenting adults, I don't really care.
Right. Turn her into a wheelbarrow. I don't care.
Yeah, they're probably all weird fucks anyway.
Yeah.
But I think the funny part is how they're calling J.D. Vance weird. I'm like, what? He's married. He's got 2 kids. He's weird.
Right. It's not his first wife. How dare he?
Yeah. Y'all are weird.
He married an immigrant. Oh, my God. He married an actual Indian. Right. Not a half Indian. Right. Like, what? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean,
he doesn't love America. Right. If he loved America, he would have married an American woman.
He's got those half kids. Oh, wait. You mean Kamala's half too? Oh, crap. We're just getting every single thing we say is getting reversed on us.
But and that's what drives me so nuts about, and granted, it's like I don't really pay attention to the corporate media, but no one calls them out on it.
No.
They just don't call him out, except Peter Doocy, But
him and that dude Simon Atiba,
yeah,
who's apparently like the African journalist.
Yeah.
We got to go to the African guy to not get our corrupt news, even though the entire continent's corrupt as fuck.
That's what we need. We need to have like the guy from like Nigerian news.
Yeah.
Because they got no cut card. They don't pull any punches.
No, those dudes that are from Africa, like they give zero fucks. They call you out on all that shit because I'm sure that dude Simon Atiba probably has like 6 other jobs too.
Yeah,
like it was funny. Like I worked with this this woman. She was from Ghana. Mm-hmm. Dude, she was not about the whole oppression Olympics. She was not about that.
Yeah.
She hated that shit.
Yeah.
She's like, why can't they get the job? I work here. I have 4 other jobs. I work all the time.
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
Like, do you sleep? No. Like, goddamn. Like, all right. I mean, do you? But try and get some sleep on it.
Yeah.
I mean, but the immigrants from Africa don't put up with any of this shit. Mm-mm. It's amazing how different that is. But yeah, but they did, right now. I feel like the left just likes to call out. Well, what about Trump? Well, what about Trump? Trump did this. How can you say this? But Trump did this.
Right. But then when you do the same thing to them, they say, "Oh, that's whataboutism."
Right. Or it's not as bad. He only had 2 affairs, not 3.
Right.
Oh, look how Melania stands. She hates him.
Right. Kamala and her husband kissed each other with masks on. And Tim Walz shook his wife's hand.
Yes.
Like,
oh, man.
But Melania, the freaking supermodel, stands wrong.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here.
The lady who speaks 7 languages and is probably smarter than all of them combined.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the one lady that we probably could use doing some shit.
Right. Who use her perspective.
Yeah, doesn't want to touch this with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
It's like, she doesn't want to. She's like, this is a shit show. I'm not saving any of these people.
Fuck y'all.
Yeah, right. Y'all dicks. Fuck you. Like, don't you? And she's probably like, I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
Because they said my son. My son, like, they call that Baron Trump. And she's probably like, I will slice all of your throats.
Yeah.
And I'm coming for you. Mm-hmm. I will take off my stiletto heel and I will slice your throat. Right. Like, that's what she's about to do. She's about to be that lady from, what's that movie? From Kingsman. You remember her? It was like Samuel L. Jackson. I don't know. I think it was Kingsman 2 maybe, or essentially like, so Samuel L. Jackson's going to take over the world through cell phones, and like his assistant is a girl with like prosthetic legs from the knees down, but they're like knives. They're like hydraulic, like it's like hydraulic shocks on like a pointy steel slicer thing, and she like does karate moves and just chops people's heads off with them. It's an amazing. By the way, those Kingsman movies are fantastic. We have been drinking, by the way, and we got like 3 minutes, so I'm going to get this in. The Penelope, what is it on the thing?
It is
just a regular one.
Penelope bourbon, straight bourbon whiskey, 80 proof, and
it didn't drink 80. I'd say it drank up.
Yeah,
it does have a good taste on it. It doesn't have the linger of the barrel strength. It doesn't have the tingle as long as the barrel strength. But I will say this, for an 80 proofer, I do get the tingle on my lips.
Yeah.
I get a lingering taste on the back of the throat for about an extra minute or so. I'd be lying if I said it was super flavorful.
Right.
It's a very easy drinker, though. I will say that. Like, I mean, I've been drinking this whole time. Didn't make a face.
Right. No coughing. There's a little coughing, but that wasn't from the...
It wasn't from this. No. It's... I mean, you had it neat. I had it on the rocks. It was per normal.
Yeah.
The question we said in the beginning was, for $40, would you buy this? Seeing how it's an 80 proofer.
See, I'm still going to go with, if I had, I'm going to buy the Wild Turkey 101 for 30.
So I'm with you there.
Yeah.
Wild Turkey 101, this 1792 is on the table here. I'm trying to think of some other, I mean, even like, I would say Buffalo Trace, but that's right around that $40 price range, even though the MSRP is supposed to be $30.
I think if I like lower proof whiskeys or bourbons, I'd be all about this. I'm still like my baseline is Wild Turkey 101, Johnny Drum, stuff like that.
I need to bring that back out. When you bring it back, I need to taste Wild Turkey 101 because it's been a while since I've had it. I need to bring that back. I put this above 1776 though.
Okay, yeah.
1776 is a little too peppery for me.
See, I like the peppery.
Yeah, I like cinnamony.
Yeah,
sweet and cinnamon for me. Cinnamon for
so
me.
You want like a hot tamale.
Yeah. The other one's too much pepper.
Yeah,
just straight pepper.
Yeah,
and I'm not down with that. No, wrong. I like to drink it though, but that's also more expensive than this. I think. I'm just trying to think what's in that $25 range. So $15 below this. Because 40, you got Buffalo Trace and Buffalo Drink. Buffalo Trace, this is very similar to me to Buffalo Trace as far as the smoothness.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. This versus a 1792 has a little bit of a chemically taste for me, whereas this does not.
Right. So
this doesn't have any odd flavor to it. It tastes like bourbon.
So I'm taking this over Maker's Mark.
I hate Maker's Mark, yeah.
I
don't know why.
No, I love Maker's and ginger, but I won't drink it neat. It's got to be with ginger ale. That's pretty much so because what is it, the Maker's Mark, not the cheap one but the next one up,
the 46, I think. That's right around that price or more. I would take this over that. The low proof is kind of shit.
The low proof kind of puts in its own thing. I'm not buying a low proof. I'm not buying an 80 proof really for anything.
No, because so think about this: 80 proof. You got benchmark number 8. Which is like super low cost, like $17 for a handle.
Yeah,
but to me, that's also got a chemically taste. So let's put it this way: a lot of those lower proof ones at that lower price point does have kind of a twinging taste to it. Like you taste it, like there's something you can never really put your finger on, right?
Yeah.
This doesn't have that.
I'm taking this over. I'm probably taking this over Basil Hayden.
Yeah, but Basil Hayden's like $60, isn't it?
No, the regular Basil Hayden.
Oh, okay. I would say even like the Ezra Brooks one there, they all have like a little bit of that weird taste, and I can't put my finger on what it is. It's like an aftertaste. Like it's not chemical. I can't picture what it is, and I can't taste it. This to me at $40, I wish it was like a 90 proof, just a little bit more of a kick to it.
Yeah.
To justify the $40 price.
Yeah.
Does it drink smoother than any of those in that $25 range? Probably.
Yeah.
Is it $15 worth more? Probably not. Yeah. I would say no.
Because the other thing is, I'm just not buying an 80 proof bourbon for myself.
Right. That's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
Though.
So my.
But if you like low proof though,
and
you don't want,
you're not wasting your $40.
If you want a good quality 80 proof, to me this might be worth that, so you don't get any of that weird chemically taste in the background. And that's what that is. But I would also have to go back to Wild Turkey 101 because that's a $25 bottle. That's $15 less.
Yeah,
and I would have to. I don't remember if there was any chemical taste to it. I do remember the taste was good though. I just don't remember if there was extra taste to it.
No.
So maybe on one of the next. The problem is we got like 3 more bourbons we got to get through. We still got this Blade and Bow here.
Yeah.
We got next week we're doing another Penelope, and we still got another Penelope over there.
Yeah.
That we got to give a try to. I do want to say, so I want to thank Penelope. They are sending these bottles to us for free. They said we were free to say what we wanted to. So I mean, obviously we weren't. I'm not knocking this regular Penelope bourbon for $40. I'm just saying
they didn't grease the wheels.
No. Yeah.
So they set this thing, the 80 proof vodka, in a suitcase full of money. Then it would be a different story.
It would be the best bourbon ever.
Right. Yeah, hands down.
If there's like a 50 or 100, we're cheap. Well, right. I'll take that 50 or 100.
So you know that you're getting an honest review here because it did not come in a briefcase full of money.
That's right.
There's no Pfizer money either.
No.
But Pfizer, I'd say fuck you. But this, I can't say that.
I wouldn't say fuck you, Pfizer. I would take that money.
Oh no, I would take the money, but they haven't given us bourbon.
That's true.
Or drugs. So
I did get a free COVID jab 3 years ago.
Yeah,
but
was it really free?
Yeah, what is that worth?
But this, like I said, if you like low proof bourbons, go for it. It's not my thing. I like the higher test things, just because that's me. So I wouldn't buy this bottle anyway. But Basil Hayden's also a lower proof, and I would take this over Basil Hayden.
Yeah, so, if you're into, like you said, if you're into bourbons and you're into the lower proof, and you found some of those cheaper bottles that have that kind of twinge taste to it, or it doesn't just fit your needs, I would say for an 80 proof bourbon, it does have flavor to it.
Yeah,
it's not like drinking water. Like it's not, for me, it's not the Angel's Envy that we had that was just kind of meh.
Yeah,
like that's $40 as well.
Yeah,
Angel's Envy's $40. I would choose this over the Angel's Envy.
100%.
And there are people out there that only like the lower proof. So if that's your jam, if lower proof is your jam, and you want just a smooth bourbon flavor to it, go with this. If you're okay dropping down $15 and just kind of, you might have a little bit of a taste to it or a twinge or whatever, or maybe not, then maybe you go for something else.
Yeah.
Penelope might be better for the upscale stuff in like that 60, 70 range. We will find out next week because I think we're going to do the Architect. We've already said how much we like the rosé cask finish and the barrel strength.
Yeah.
Those to me, both of them are worth the money.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Want to thank Adam Shubik with TACMD, TACMD.com. Call Adam with all your real estate needs. Even if you're just looking right now and you're doing some homework on whether you should or should not move or buy a home or sell a home, go talk to Adam. He is going to give you his honest opinion. He's not going to take you on as a client if he doesn't think he's doing what's in your best interest. Go to TACMD.com and give him a call. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.